Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. Told you guys in one of my most recent videos that I was trying to get the setup put together and whatnot, start filming videos back on my computer and the webcam. Picture looks fine to me. Hopefully it looks fine on YouTube, of course. Probably going to adjust that in the next coming videos and whatnot. Ignore the background behind me. I eventually want to get a green screen that will be just better in general for recording videos and whatnot. I would like to get some like Niner stuff hanging up behind me. Don't know if I'm going to end up doing that or not. I don't know. I just want a better background. So obviously ignore for now the stuff behind me and whatnot. But either way, and the glare too. I know there's a glare from the blinds behind me. That's don't know how it's going to look on YouTube, but just try to ignore that as well. Again, I definitely want to get a green screen at some point in time. That's going to make things better. But either way, I wanted to come on here and talk about this thing kind of going around about the 49ers trading Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams. So obviously a couple days ago, Davante Adams requested a trade out of Las Vegas, and it's being reported that he would prefer to be traded to either the New Orleans Saints to pair up with his former teammate Derek Carr, or the New York Jets to pair up with his former teammate Aaron Rodgers. Those are said to be his top two destinations, according to Diana Rossini. Davante Adams, reportedly, this came out today, Davante Adams has the 49ers on his wish list of teams that he would prefer to go to. Now, obviously, it seems like the Jets, Ian Rappaport says that the Jets are like at the top of his food chain and which he would want to be traded to. Now, obviously, this is a situation where like I would definitely expect Davante Adams to be traded. I don't think this is a situation where like they're gonna figure it out and whatnot. I definitely expect Davante Adams to be traded out of Las Vegas and to another team. So before we get into if they should do that trade, first off, there has been like a lot of Niners fans absolutely like shitting on Brandon Aiyuk for how he has played through the first month of the NFL season. Now, a lot of people I think forget, look, I get the contract's big. It was a 4-year deal worth $120 million that immediately made him a top 6 highest paid wide receiver in the entire NFL. Now, I think a lot of people forget that Brandon Aiyuk he held out of everything that he could have held out from during the offseason, OTAs, training camp. When a player holds out of training camp and practices like that are going to get you live reps, clearly it's going to take him some time to get back into the routine of things. Now, obviously, it took a little longer than I think what the 49ers expected it would take because, he hasn't really had a Brandon Aiyuk game like everybody knows Brandon Aiyuk to play up to, right? Like he hasn't had like a big game yet. And again, it all goes back to him just the lack of reps he got during the offseason. Like it's going to take some time for Brandon Aiyuk to get acclimated to things. Now, I definitely think Brandon Aiyuk is at a point in time right now this season where I think that he feels like he's probably marinated now. I think he feels good now. And I think this week against the Arizona Cardinals is a perfect time for Brandon Aiyuk to put up monster numbers, or good numbers at least. Clearly Arizona's secondary is shaky. Their defense hasn't been great this year. I would definitely expect Brandon Aiyuk to turn up this week against the Arizona Cardinals, and I think he will. So obviously, fans that are bashing him, saying that the 49ers should have traded him, this and that, like you guys got to pump the brakes and understand that like a guy's not going to come in and immediately, pick up where he left off without getting reps. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk will get it going. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I think right now he's in a perfect spot to get it going this week against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Second thing, Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams. Should the 49ers send Brandon Aiyuk to Vegas and get Davante Adams in return? I say absolutely not. I don't think it makes sense at all for the 49ers. Number one, the age gap. Davante Adams is 31 years old, going on 32. He's going to be turning 32 this December. Brandon Aiyuk is 26 years old. That is a massive difference. I mean, that's like what? That's 6 years apart, 7 years. That's going to be 6 years apart, 5, 6 years apart, whatever it is. There's a big age gap. Like, bottom line, you don't trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams. Number one, because of the age. Number two, you spent all off season long, headaches, trials, tribulations, whatever you want to call it. You spent all off season long trying to sign Brandon Aiyuk, and you finally did it with a week left until the NFL season started. Why? Like, that would just be a complete waste of time if you trade him to Vegas for Brandon Aiyuk, or if you trade him to the Las Vegas Raiders for Davante Adams. Just doesn't make sense. Number three, Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports said yesterday on a podcast that it does not make sense for the 49ers to trade Brandon Aiyuk because the 49ers would then be paying $10 million more than what they are this year getting Davante Adams, and then they would be paying $24 million more next year if they get Davante Adams because of how Davante's contract is set up. The 49ers can't afford to be spending more money like that, especially on a guy like Davante Adams where he's getting older. When you already have a guy in Brandon Aiyuk who, yeah, he's probably not better than Davante Adams right now and when fully healthy. But Brandon Aiyuk is not a finished product, I don't think. I don't think we have seen the absolute best from Brandon Aiyuk. He's in his prime now, and again, Brandon Aiyuk has a lot of more years left on him to take his talent to another level, and I think he will. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is in any way, shape, or form a finished product. I can go on and on with the reasons and whatnot as to why you should trade him, but those are like the main reasons. Like, it just does not make sense for the 49ers to give up on Brandon Aiyuk right now after they spent all off season long trying to get a contract done. Just doesn't make sense. You don't do that. Not only that, but that's a move right there that I think would hurt the locker room. That I think a lot of players would start to lose faith in Kyle Shanahan, the coach, and the organization all in all. Now, clearly, would it make the 49ers better? I don't know. I mean, probably. Like, I mean, Davante Adams is the better wide receiver than Brandon Aiyuk, and I think Davante Adams would love to come to a team like San Francisco that is a Super Bowl contending football team. But again, Brandon Aiyuk, like, we're 4 weeks through the season. A lot of people, a lot of fans are going to jump to conclusions and say, like, yeah, clearly, the Niners should trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams because Brandon Ayuk's not doing anything. He's underperforming. He was overpaid, this and that. Like, a lot of people are just automatically jumping to these conclusions and whatnot. So, again, like, Brandon Aiyuk will get it going. It's going to take time. I think he gets it going this week versus the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's a perfect matchup. I think Brandon Aiyuk is comfortable now with things. And what I mean by that is comfortable. He's got enough reps to where he's good, and he doesn't really need any more time to do anything else. But yeah, again, I don't think you do that. I don't think that you just give up on a guy like Brandon Aiyuk who you spent all off season long trying to get to re-sign, and you're just going to ship him off for Davante Adams, pay more money this year, pay more money next year, and your team gets older. Just does not make sense in those regards. And again, I think a lot of fans that are down on Brandon Aiyuk and that are, kind of talking smack about him and getting just saying some out of pocket stuff that I've seen. It just, again, keep the same energy when he starts doing something, because Brandon Aiyuk eventually will get it going, and he's going to return back to the Brandon Aiyuk we all know. And I ask that those fans that are shitting on him, saying that we overpaid for him, saying that he sucks, saying that he doesn't want to be in San Francisco, keep the same energy. And here's another thing, too, that I wanted to touch on. The whole Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to be in San Francisco. Like, that is the most overreaction that you could possibly have in this entire situation. If Brandon Aiyuk did not want to be in San Francisco, number one, he never would have signed the massive contract extension that he did. The 49ers had trade offers on the table, ready to, push through to the league and trade Brandon Aiyuk, and he didn't want to go to those teams. Steelers being one, Cleveland being another. The 49ers gave Brandon Aiyuk an option on the day that he signed his contract extension. A, sign the contract. B, we're going to take this offer on the table right now from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brandon Aiyuk chose to stay with the 49ers. He would have went to Pittsburgh if he really wanted to leave the 49ers. He would have went anywhere but San Francisco if he didn't want to be with the 49ers. That whole talk with him not wanting to be here, that's like the most that's just a simple overreaction. Like, Brandon Aiyuk wants to be here. If he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be on the team. Bottom line, smash that talk. So yeah, you don't do that if you're the 49ers. You get older, and it just doesn't make sense for the football team right now with where they are currently at. And again, the 49ers can't afford to be spending more money than what they already are, because they got guys like Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, and obviously, most importantly, Brock Purdy, all due for contract extensions after this season. So do not trade Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk will get it going eventually. I think he gets it going this week again against an Arizona team. I think this is the week that Brandon Aiyuk finally gets over the hump and starts playing like the Brandon Aiyuk we all know. So do not trade Brandon Aiyuk. I think it hurts the 49ers in the long run. It's just not a good idea. I don't think they will either, but in my opinion, my thoughts, don't trade him. Stick with what you have. Don't give up on Brandon Aiyuk. He's a hell of a player. And this is another thing too. Brandon Aiyuk, even though the numbers aren't showing, he is still separating and running routes at a top 3 wide receiver level. Like, Brandon Aiyuk, I think that's a very overlooked talent that Brandon Aiyuk has, is his route running. Like, Brandon Aiyuk is still creating ridiculous separation. Brock Purdy is going to get him the ball. And again, it's taking a little more extra time. Why? Because he didn't get any really live reps during the offseason. Things will come full circle. Brandon Aiyuk will get back to his self. It's just going to take time. So you got to bear with Brandon Aiyuk, Niner fans. Like, the people that are shitting on him and whatnot, it's ridiculous some of the stuff that I've read on Twitter about him being overpaid and that, we should have traded him, this and that. Like, that's all overreaction type of stuff. So that's my 2 cents on this situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should the 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Give me your guys' 2 cents on this whole ordeal. But yeah, with that being said, as always, go Niners.